Frank Carlyle never told his assistant he loved her. That moment shattered the silence he'd kept for years, stirring a storm of jealousy and regret he couldn't ignore. Who was this man? And why had Frank waited so long to admit the truth burning inside him? What happens when the person you secretly adore seems to be slipping away? Stay with me, because this story will take you through hidden feelings, painful misunderstandings, and a love that refuses to be ignored. Have you ever felt love too late? Frank Carlyle was a man who built his empire brick by brick, each deal a testament to his relentless drive. His name was synonymous with success in the luxury real estate world, but behind the polished image was a man who rarely let anyone close. His office was a fortress of glass and steel, reflecting the cold precision with which he ran his business and guarded his heart. Few people saw past the sharp suits and commanding presence. Fewer still understood the quiet loneliness that lingered beneath. Lila Monroe was the one exception. As Frank's personal assistant, she was a steady rhythm in his chaotic world. She moved with confidence and grace, her sharp mind anticipating his needs before he voiced them. Lila wasn't just efficient. She was indispensable. But what made her truly unique was her ability to see the man behind the billionaire's mask. She noticed the subtle shifts in his mood, the rare moments when his eyes softened, and the way he lingered on small details others overlooked. Lila's own story was one of resilience. Raised in a modest neighborhood, she had clawed her way up through determination and wit. Her past held scars, an intense relationship that ended in betrayal, leaving her wary of trusting anyone, especially men who wielded power like Frank did. Yet, despite her guarded heart, she found herself drawn to him in ways she couldn't explain. Their connection was a delicate dance of unspoken words and stolen glances. In the quiet moments between meetings, Frank would catch Lila's eyes and feel a flicker of something he refused to name. She, in turn, sensed the warmth beneath his stoic exterior but kept her distance, afraid to cross the invisible line between professionalism and something more. Days blurred into nights as they worked side by side, their lives intertwined by deadlines and decisions. Frank's world was one of control, but with Lila, he felt a rare vulnerability. He admired her strength, her quick wit, and the way she challenged him without fear. Yet, every time his feelings threatened to surface, he pushed them down, convinced that mixing business with emotion was a risk he couldn't afford. Lila noticed the tension, the way Frank's gaze would linger a moment too long, or how his voice softened when he spoke to her alone. She wondered if he felt the same pull she did, but her past whispered caution. She had learned the hard way that love could be a trap, especially when power imbalances were involved. Their interactions were filled with subtle signs, a shared smile over a private joke, a hand brushing against the other's by accident, a pause that spoke volumes. But neither dared to break the silence. The professional boundary was a wall they both respected, even as it kept their hearts locked away. Inside, Frank wrestled with his emotions. He told himself that his feelings were a distraction, a weakness that could unravel everything he had built. Yet, every time Lila entered the room, his carefully constructed defenses faltered. He found himself watching her more closely, noticing the way her eyes lit up when she talked about her dreams, the quiet strength in her voice when she faced challenges. Lila, too, was caught in a storm of conflicting emotions. She admired Frank's determination and the rare glimpses of kindness he showed, but she feared being just another chapter in his life, a fleeting moment before he moved on. Her heart longed for connection, yet her mind warned her to stay guarded. Their story was one of silent longing, a tension that simmered beneath the surface. It was a connection built on trust and respect, yet shadowed by fear and uncertainty. Neither knew how to bridge the gap between them, but the pull was undeniable. As the days passed, the unspoken grew heavier. Frank and Lila found themselves caught in a delicate balance, close enough to feel the heat of their feelings, yet distant enough to keep them hidden. It was a fragile dance, one that could shatter with a single misstep. But fate had its own plans. The quiet moments they shared were about to be tested by forces neither could control. And when the walls finally began to crumble, the truth they had both denied would come crashing down in ways they never expected. The rhythm of their days shifted when a new project landed on Frank's desk, one that demanded every ounce of his attention and, more importantly, Lila's unwavering support. The stakes were higher than ever, and the pressure forced them into longer hours, closer proximity. The air between them thickened with unspoken words and stolen glances, each moment charged with a tension neither dared to acknowledge. Frank noticed how Lila's presence became a steady anchor amid the chaos. Her calm efficiency kept the storm at bay, but also stirred something deeper inside him, a longing he fought to suppress. Yet, as they worked side by side, Frank's mind began to wander, haunted by a growing unease. It started with a casual mention from a colleague about a man named Daniel, a charming, successful investor who had recently taken an interest in Lila's world outside the office. Frank's heart clenched at the thought. Who was this Daniel? What did he mean to her? The questions gnawed at him, planting seeds of doubt he couldn't shake. One afternoon, Frank's suspicions took root when he saw Lila speaking animatedly with a man in a nearby cafe. The way she laughed, the ease between them, it was a sight that twisted something inside Frank. He watched from a distance, the image burning into his mind. The man's confident smile, the way he touched her arm lightly. It was a connection Frank had never shared with her. His mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Was Daniel a threat to everything Frank had built? Was Lila slipping away, drawn to someone who could offer her a life he never dared to imagine? The jealousy was a bitter poison, sharp and relentless. Frank's usual control began to falter. He found himself withdrawing, his interactions with Lila growing colder, more distant. The warmth that once flickered between them was replaced by a professional chill that left Lila confused and hurt. She sensed a change but couldn't understand its cause. Lila, unaware of Frank's turmoil, was caught in her own storm. Daniel was indeed a friend, someone who would help her through a difficult family crisis. But Frank's silence and sudden coldness felt like a betrayal. She tried to reach out, to bridge the growing gap, but Frank's walls only grew higher. The tension reached a breaking point when Frank overheard a conversation that confirmed his fears. Or so he thought. He heard Daniel mention a business deal that could rival Frank's empire, and in that moment, Frank's mind twisted the truth. He believed Lila was involved with Daniel not just personally, but in a way that threatened his world. The misunderstanding was a knife in the heart. Frank's pride and fear collided, leaving him unable to confront Lila with the truth. Instead, he buried his pain beneath a mask of professionalism, pushing her away with cold efficiency. Lila was left standing in the silence, her heart aching with questions. Why had Frank changed? Why did the man she trusted most now seem like a stranger? The unspoken tension between them grew heavier, a chasm widening with every passing day. Yet beneath the surface, both Frank and Lila were prisoners of their own fears. Frank's jealousy was fueled by love he refused to admit. Lila's confusion was rooted in a past that made trust a fragile thing. Their story was no longer just about unspoken feelings. It was about the walls they built to protect themselves, and the risk of losing everything if those walls came down. As the days turned into weeks, the distance between them became unbearable. The project that brought them closer now felt like a battleground, each interaction a test of wills. The question lingered in the air. Could love survive the seeds of doubt, or was it already too late? The cold distance between Frank and Lila grew heavier with each passing day. Lila couldn't understand the sudden shift in Frank's behavior. The man who once looked at her with quiet warmth now avoided her gaze, his words clipped and businesslike. She tried to reach out, to break through the wall he'd built, but every attempt was met with silence or polite brush-off. Her heart ached with confusion and hurt. She wondered if she had done something wrong, if the unspoken connection they once shared was nothing more than a fleeting illusion. The laughter she had shared with Daniel, the man Frank had seen, was innocent, a brief respite from the pressures of her life. Daniel was her older brother, a protector who had stepped in during a family crisis, not a rival for her heart. But Frank's mind was clouded by jealousy and fear. One afternoon, fate forced the truth into the open. Frank was leaving the office when he spotted Lila and Daniel together again. This time, he saw the way Daniel's hand rested gently on Lila's shoulder, the concern etched on his face as they spoke quietly. The realization hit Frank like a thunderclap. He had been wrong. The man he had feared was not a threat, but a guardian. The love he had denied was real, and he had almost lost it to his own doubts. Overwhelmed by regret, Frank's emotions spiraled. He replayed every moment, every glance, every unspoken word. How had he let fear and pride blind him to the truth? The walls he had built to protect himself now felt like a prison, trapping him away from the one person who mattered most. Desperation pushed him to act. He sought out Lila, finding her alone in the quiet of the office late one evening. The air between them was thick with tension, years of unspoken feelings hanging in the balance. "Lila," Frank began, his voice rough with emotion. "I need to explain. I've made mistakes. Big ones. I let my fears get the better of me, and I hurt you. I thought I was protecting myself, but all I did was push away the one person I care about." Lila looked at him, her eyes searching his face for the truth. "Why didn't you say anything? Why keep it all inside?" Frank swallowed hard. The vulnerability he had hidden for so long now laid bare. "Because I was afraid. Afraid of losing control. Afraid of being vulnerable. But seeing you with Daniel, I realized I was losing you anyway." The confession hung in the air, fragile and raw. Lila's heart wavered between anger and hope. She had guarded herself for so long, but here was Frank, imperfect, scared, and honest. "I don't know if I can trust you yet," she said softly, "but I'm willing to try if you are." Frank nodded, relief flooding through him. "I am. I want to be better. For you. For us." In that moment, the walls began to crumble. The silence that had kept them apart was replaced by a fragile promise, a chance to rebuild what fear had almost destroyed. Their journey was far from over, but the truth had set them free. And sometimes that's all love needs, a moment of courage to break through shadows. The air between Frank and Lila was thick with unspoken emotions as they faced each other in the quiet office. The truth had been revealed, but the hardest part was just beginning. Lila's eyes searched Frank's face, looking for the man behind the billionaire, the man who had kept his feelings locked away for so long. "Why did you keep it hidden?" Lila asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hurt and curiosity. "Why didn't you tell me you loved me?" Frank's gaze dropped, the weight of years pressing down on him. "I was scared that if I said out loud, everything would change. I thought I could protect us both by staying silent. But I was wrong. I see that now." Lila's heart ached with the honesty in his voice. She had spent so long guarding her own heart, afraid to trust again. "I've been hurt before, Frank. I didn't want to be just another mistake." Frank stepped closer, his voice soft but steady. "You're not a mistake. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I was afraid of losing control, but losing you would be worse." The vulnerability in his words broke through the last of her defenses. Tears welled in Lila's eyes as she reached out, her hand trembling as it found his. "I want to believe you. I want to try." Frank pulled her into a gentle embrace, the tension between them melting away. "We'll take it one day at a time. No promises of perfection, just honesty and trust." Their first kiss was tentative, a fragile promise of what could be. It wasn't a fairy tale moment, but it was real, flawed, beautiful, and full of hope. In the days that followed, Frank and Lila navigated the delicate balance of their new relationship. There were moments of doubt and fear, but also laughter and tenderness. They learned to communicate openly, breaking down the walls that had kept them apart. Frank showed Lila the man beneath the billionaire, the one who loved quietly but deeply. Lila shared her dreams and fears, finding strength in vulnerability. Together, they faced the challenges of blending their worlds, proving that love could thrive even in the most unlikely places. Their story wasn't about grand gestures or perfect endings. It was about two people choosing to be brave, to trust, and to love despite the risks. It was a new beginning, one built on honesty, respect, and the courage to face the future together. Frank and Lila's story reminds us that love often hides in the quietest moments, the glances unshared, the feelings unspoken. It's a reminder that fear and pride can build walls between us, but courage and honesty have the power to tear them down. Their journey wasn't perfect, but it was real. It showed us that sometimes the greatest risk is simply opening your heart. Have you ever held back your feelings, afraid of what might happen if you spoke the truth? Or watched someone you cared about slip away because of silence and misunderstanding? Frank and Lila's story is a testament to the power of vulnerability and the hope that comes with second chances. If their journey touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who believes in the power of love. What would you do if you found yourself in Frank's shoes? Would you speak up or stay silent? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing your stories. And if you want more inspiring tales of love and redemption, don't forget to subscribe to Zenith Inspiring Stories. Together, we'll explore the many faces of love and the strength it gives us to keep going. Thank you for being part of this journey. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful love stories begin with a single brave step.